Welcome back to Forzanaples. I'm Ian. That's Paul. Well, the no good month of May has come to an end, and FC Naples falls in the Jägermeister Cup 3-2 to Miami FC. A great game, some learning points, I think, from it, and we're here to break it all down and preview our match on Saturday against Greenville Triumph. As always, please get in touch with the show, especially if you want to hear more of these recaps and previews for the next episode. We're Forzanaplespod on Instagram, Forzanaples on Bluesky, and you can always email us, forzanaples239 at gmail.com. Paul, we dropped another game here in the month of May, but June, hopefully clearer skies ahead for FC Naples. What did you make of the game?
Yeah, I thought the team competed hard. I mean, that is a championship team. Obviously, I don't think they're doing so hot in their league, but we went over to the lesser coast and put up a good fight. I thought we did a really good job in the first half. One blown coverage that gets them up 1-0. The OC wonder goal from the corner right before halftime. If starting ending halves and starting halves is on your bingo card, you're gonna win again today because those in 2 minutes, the last minute of the first half, first minute of the second half. Talk about a tide shift. And I think if we're at home, and I saw some of the fans on the broadcast were there, but I think if we're at home, I think that's a lead that we end up holding at a minimum to a draw. Talk about just a deflating, a wonder goal for, how often do you see a corner kick go directly in? I mean, the angle is perfect, top shelf. And then you come out with a phenomenal ball up the left side that goes in, and you got the 2-1 lead. Team's feeling good, and then for the final 43 minutes of the half, they just took it to us.
Yeah, it seemed they scored 35 minutes in. It seemed pretty back and forth to kind of start the game. We had a lot of opportunities, I thought, in that first half. Kind of right off the bat, 6 minutes in, we made Bill Hamid come out and make a big save for them. We kind of had his work cut out for him, I thought, but I also thought we didn't take full advantage of our opportunities, and that's something we've been really good at all year. And that was really early, before the 36 minute, where that was, I think, probably the biggest chance. We got a corner off of it. 36 minutes when they scored, reading my notes here. But yeah, I thought we were the better team for the whole first half. They scored off of that really well-worked corner. That almost seemed like it was a tactic and it was coached to kind of have, I believe it was Ricketts run to the near post on the short corner and just flick it home. He was going up against Henderlong, who is not a defender, and I think they knew that and knew to target him and take advantage. So unfortunate, well-coached, well-earned goal by them, but then, like we've been saying all year, we see a response right away, and then the goal comes from a wonder goal off the corner from Kevin O'Connor. I think we had mentioned a couple episodes ago wanting to see more off of set pieces, and I don't think we could ask for much more off of that goal from O'Connor.
Yeah, the goal, you're right. They definitely saw vulnerability and exploited that. I think that our set piece defense has been letting us down here and there. Kind of feeling how I felt at the end of the Forest season, how I felt with Forest last year, where just get real nervous now in corners. More so than I was early in the year. Again, this was a better, quote unquote, better side, because they should have I think where the biggest difference is the depth, and we saw that in the second half, right? So I think in the first half, that's why it felt more back and forth. But once those changes came and their fresh legs, even though they're bench players, I think their fresh legs were just too much for us to handle. So they get a good goal, well deserved. Probably maybe could have done something to stop it, but it's a good goal. I'm not too disappointed. And then OC answers, and then and then second half the legs really seem to give for the Naples side. They seem to just not be able to keep up with the pace and playing almost too much on the back foot. And
Yeah,
yeah,
with this style of play that we've seen so often, I think we're kind of starting to finally see this back line get gassed. And they still are really solid all year, but it seemed like they weren't getting any help and they weren't getting any favors done for them, because we kind of win the ball and then try and counter, and it just wasn't there. They had kind of figured it out, it seemed. Miami FC had, and credit to them. I think you're right. I think they were a deeper side than us, being able to bring really high quality players in off the bench, and then we saw that when they did make the change with Michael Lawrence coming on, who ended up scoring the game winner. Came on in the 76th minute, and then I believe he scored in the 80th, or he came out in the 66th minute, scored in the 76th minute. So within 10 minutes, he's finding the back of the net, and that I think made all the difference in this game.
I think too, you talk about the style of play, and I think that's why we saw such great early success too, because you don't have the scouting report. So as the season progresses, good coaches are going to figure out ways to break down that back line. And not to always bring it back to the Premier League, but that's what happened to Forest. It seemed like is the best coaches are gonna find ways to beat teams that are gonna sit back. And when again, I'm gonna use air quotes with the better players, you're more likely to be able to find the soft patches. And really, that third goal that Miami got, we talked about it. I think that needs to be called a handball. And I think if the ref blows the whistle, as soon as it ends up on the foot of the guy who ultimately gets the assist, you blow that whistle. There's hard to see any pushback from the Miami side because it does come off his hand. It's down, so it's not going to be a PK if it's on the other end. But it's down, goes right to his teammate, back to him for the goal. That needs to be a handball. I think it was a pretty obvious one. But then on the flip side, too, the defender needs to clear the danger zone and not be asking for the handball. I think if instead of asking for the handball, he covers the guy. Dude's falling down. You close out a little bit quicker. That ball probably ricochets, even if it goes for a corner. Tough way to lose.
Yeah, you on the handball, you texted me, I think, as soon as it happened. You said, shouldn't that be a handball there? And watching it live, I didn't put two and two together. And then when you see the replay, sure enough, I think it was Cisneros goes to clear the ball and blasts it straight into the arm, which, yeah, it's down to the side, but absolutely he gained an advantage from the ball hitting his hand. And there's I can't quote the exact law of the game off the top of my head, but basically you can't gain an advantage in the box and have a handball lead directly to a goal, which it did, because his blocking the ball with his hand in the box led to the kind of pinball, ball bouncing around, ball falls back to him within 3 touches, and it's in the back of the net. And we kind of saw some protests from our players, but also both their last 2 goals I thought were just, I don't want to say lazy, but it was sloppy. Sloppy, I think, is a better word than lazy, because we showed fight that whole game. It was just running out of gas. And even their goal in the 50th minute, it was just kind of a bad ball sloppy ball across the middle of the field that they jumped on, and we were struggling to get back at that point. And that's started the second half, some tired legs out there, and they took advantage of it. And then again, that goal in the 76th minute, it pained me, because it was like, okay, we're gonna hold on here, I think, and get a point out of this. End at 2-2. It goes to penalties, I think, in the Jägermeister Cup. We could go back to Naples with 2 points. But also that goal felt like it was kind of coming forever since the 50th minute.
Yeah, and they should have put it in, I think, in the 88th minute. They real bad finishing attempt from them. I think that the biggest thing when we're playing against these championship teams is the margin of error goes away, right? If that's against Omaha or that's against Texoma, they're probably not scoring there. Quite frankly, I'll say it. One of those lesser League One teams is not scoring there. So that's, the clearances need to be better. I also think, right, the camera angle, I think, was deceptive live. My initial reaction was I thought it was a handball, but live with the camera angle, I see. But from that ref's perspective, he had a direct on angle seeing, um, you know, that and erring on the side of caution because like if you call that and it's not a handball, it's probably the whistle's probably blown before the ball goes in the net, so you're not going to see as much protest. But you don't call it and then they put it in the back of the net. I mean, now you've just decided the game. And you're right. I think it was the reason I think it was most deflating was it was kind of game over. I didn't really
Yeah.
have high hopes for an equalizer late with the way the game was going. Didn't have high hopes for that.
Yeah, I was watching. I think Farine had a big chance in about the 66th or 67th minute,
Mm-hmm.
kind of late in there. Right, I think it was right before they made their subs. A pretty decent chance, and I was like, okay, maybe we're back in this. Like maybe this is the response we need now. Because after the 50th minute, and we've said it all year on here, anytime it seems like we give up a goal, we get a response right away. And we saw that in this game, right? They scored in the 36th, we scored in the 44th. We scored to open up the second half, and it's like, all right, boys are buzzing, here we go. But then they kind of capitalize on a sloppy ball across the middle, 2-2, 50 minutes in, and we still got still 40 minutes to play. And then it was more to their side, but when Farine had that chance, I was like, okay, maybe we'll catch them out of the back, which it seemed like we would be able to do in the first half, all first half. And then it was one of those two that kind of felt like it was coming after they made the change, where it was like, all right, if we can hold on here and get this 2-2, maybe, like, I think it's doable. But then, yeah, they scored, and it was kind of, you're right, like, lets all the air out of the balloon, just deflating. And we kind of were out of it from that point on.
Yeah, and the flip side, you talk about it like we score and we really have no time protecting the lead. They come down, pretty quickly after. So we didn't milk any time, right? They can play a little bit differently because they're not pressing as hard because they got the 2-2 score line. Or they can play a little more free, however you want to look at it. I think, if that equalizer comes in the 65th even or 70th minute, we probably can hold on for 20 minutes. Considering we held on for 25 minutes before they put the third one in. But disappointing. But it was a lousy month, and you're gonna see that. The positive is this wasn't a league game. Looking at the table, we probably got to win out to stay in the Jägermeister Cup with how the other tables are looking. I have a hard time believing a wild card spot would be coming to us as it currently sits. So pros and cons there, right? Pro is, not a league game, doesn't hurt us on the table. Con being the Jägermeister becomes winner, go home basically on July 4th.
Yeah, if there's any consolation, I mean, I thought we were the better side for maybe 50, 60 minutes of that game. They got an early set piece goal, but I thought that first half especially, we went toe-to-toe with another championship side. Mm-hmm. And I think the difference even between a good championship side and a mid-table championship side like Miami FC is like the opportunities that we saw them struggle with at the end, where he was kind of in all alone, and it's like, okay, he's going to score, and then he just kind of puts it right into Delgado, which Delgado's still making a decent save, but I think that's kind of the difference we see between a good championship side or a great championship side and a mid-table side, which really does go to show you we're not far off these good championship teams. We've already beaten one. We went toe-to-toe with another, with the Rowdies, who, I mean, they've been struggling. You might have to call them a bad championship side this year, but we get a rematch with them on July 4th. You got to think the boys will be up for that one. And then being a better team who just couldn't capitalize on our chances in this game. I thought leaned on their goalkeeper pretty heavily. I think we only had 3 shots on target, but it felt like a lot more from my point of view. So it's like we're right there. We just need to take one more step, it seems, to kind of get over that hump. And hopefully we can learn this, not to sound too cliche, but use it as a learning opportunity and keep growing from it and get better. And now we move on to Greenville.
Yeah, in big point there, right, is we're not far off from the bottom table of the championship, right? I think that we're probably one or two players that we probably would have if we were in the championship, right? You're going to spend a little
Right.
more money. You're going to have a little bit better talent.
And it's not even the starting 11s. I
Correct.
mean, we saw this starting 11 outplay their starting 11, in my opinion,
Hmm.
or was dead even with them. It's almost like the depth, and I think we
Yep.
mentioned that earlier. Just having those players to come off the bench, and I still don't think our players coming off the bench now are far off of it. And
No.
we've seen that week in and week out.
Yeah, and I think that this game I think does prove that we're still going to be a threat to be top of the table by the end of the league season. Um, and good to see the fans making the trip over. That was a great,
Yeah, it seemed like
great
Naples
support.
fans outnumbered Miami fans
Yes.
there. I mean, we had the drums going. Shout out to Labara 239 and all the Naples fans that made the trip across the alley there to Pitbull Stadium. We outdrew them, and we were 2.5-ish hours away, which was awesome.
Yeah, so and I think this is again just one of those things that a couple weeks down the line, hopefully the the problems we had over the weekend aren't going to be replicated. We'll get them fixed and refocus back on the league and opportunity this weekend against a team that's mid-ish table, lower mid-table. Uh, a chance to go on the road and make a statement that the games we're losing are either tight or to teams in a league above us.
Yeah, and I think, turning the calendar to May, almost using as a bogey month. It started off rough with that game being canceled against AV Alta, and then from there it wasn't a great month. We took one win out of 4 matches in May. Unfortunate, but hey, we're still a young team. We're still growing. Let's throw this month away. Let's move on. And June brings brighter horizons. I think we've got another 4 games in June, so let's get a response, and that all starts on Saturday against Greenville. It looks like this game is actually being played in Clemson, South Carolina, not in the typical. I believe they play it at Furman normally, but they're going to be playing in Clemson at historic Riggs Field against the Greenville Triumph, who have seemingly been around this league forever. They won it, I think, in 2020 and then finished runners-up in 2019 and 2021. So historically a pretty good team. Kind of been struggling recently. And then they also just seem very hot and cold. They lost to Texoma 2 weeks ago, who, I mean, maybe they've figured something out since we last played them. But then they also just beat Charleston Battery in Charleston, who Charleston Battery continue to be a really good championship side. So who really knows what's going on with Greenville?
Yeah, I'm looking at their season, right? They're 2-3-4, a negative goal differential, but really most of their games have been close. So the ones that they've lost of late, right? So they did lose to Texoma 1-0. So they beat the Battery. Was that Saturday?
Yeah.
So hopefully they're riding a high that gives a little hangover game. Then you're right. They lose to Texoma. A couple draws with Alta and Richmond. They lose to Tormenta in the Jägermeister Cup. But all their other games have been pretty close throughout the year. Other than the outlier, I would say they got run by Spokane. But another thing to keep in mind with their schedule and probably a little bit of the inconsistency could be they've picked up a good amount of red cards throughout the year, it looks like. So very possible that they are a team that's had some issues keeping the same 11 on the field, and that could be it's only been 2 red cards, but that could be something that they're starting to figure it out. I think we've talked about it. We can't underestimate anybody. That's what the best teams do is they come in and they beat the brakes off of lesser teams. They give them the respect and take them seriously. And I think that's what we did against Omaha, and looking for the same type of intensity Saturday.
Yeah, gonna need another response after coming off of this loss against Miami. Kind of a heartbreaking loss. Everyone just seemed tired at the end of it. So hoping we can come out and get a big response against an inconsistent Greenville team would be absolutely huge. It does seem like they've kind of been all over the place. No real set style or kind of form. Some games looking at it, they've had more possession. And then you look at this Charleston game, they had 27% possession and 2 total shots. And one of them went in. So not really sure what to expect in this game. It's going to be interesting. I'd like to see us kind of stick with the lineup we've brought out these past couple games, and then, maybe get back into things the way it was back in the month of April. Playing the ball down the wings, kind of attacking them that way, and then getting balls into Henderlong, and then even having, Farine and Onan on the wings there to take advantage.
What did you think of the shape over the weekend? I thought it was interesting, kind of having Henderlong playing a little bit further back and really letting Farine and Onan run up the wings, almost like with the intent to drop it back, let them run it out, chase down the ball, and then center it to Henderlong. Thought that was a strategy I think will be beneficial in league play.
Yeah, he seemed to kind of give Onan and Farine the green light to go and get more forward, which I thought kind of worked out well, especially in the first half. And then it also involved Glasser and Cisneros a lot more, who I thought both of them had a really great game. Cisneros obviously getting the goal, cutting in from the left side. But you could tell, too, later on, and after we kind of started with that tactic, about the 20th minute, I think it was Cisneros was bringing the ball in, and this is actually how we scored, too, was they just seemed to let him continue to dribble the ball in the box, and then he finishes. And they were so much, their back line was so much more worried about Farine, O'Connor, and I think Onan was up there, too, with him, running into the box. So it does work, because you think, you can't mark them all, and for them to leave the guy open with the ball, bold move, but hey, Cisneros took advantage of it, and I think especially against the USL League One side, we could run ravage that way.
Yeah, and I do want to highlight, we're kind of raining on USL League One, but I think that if you look at the Jägermeister Cup standings, there's a lot of positives around the league. It's kind of centered out where all the groups are led by championship teams, but the bottom is split 3-3 for the bottom of the tier. So I do just want to kind of highlight that I think that there are some very good League One teams, and
yeah, I think these two leagues are a lot closer than people give it credit for,
which is probably the baseline for the merge. And I think the Jägermeister Cup is going to be kind of that stepping stone of seeing who kind of just comparing the leagues. You're putting them up against each other multiple times a year, and let's just see how close these leagues are. I don't think we're quite ready to recklessly speculate about what promotion relegation is going to look like. But it's very possible that there are USL League One teams that jump right into the top flight. Maybe something where it's like 3 past winners or something, or the top 3 teams in the Jägermeister Cup, or if you make it to the semis or the quarters, you're up, and possibly they use the Jägermeister Cup as a guiding tool for the promotion relegation.
Yeah, we still don't really know too much about it, unfortunately, because there was talks. I forgot. I think it was Hartford said that they wanted to be a whatever they're going to call Premier Super League team, but Hartford historically has not been very good at all. What's next? Lexington going to come out and say that they want to be a Premier League team? Well, they just lost to Charlotte on penalties. So not really sure how that is all going to look. I hope it is a free, like, hey, if you invest enough money and build a really good team, yeah, you can get up to the Premier League, which it kind of sounds like it's going to be. So hopefully that's true, and we could see, winners of USL 1. We've seen how close all these games have been throughout the Jägermeister Cup.
Mm-hmm.
Not a lot of blowouts. I mean, Portland beat Detroit 4-2. Westchester only lost to Hartford 3-2. Yeah, like we're seeing great games in this Jägermeister Cup, and it gets me excited to think we could have a lot more of this going forward. And these two, hopefully 3 soon leagues are so close that it's all these possibilities are open, and it just has me really excited for the future, and to think, maybe one day FC Naples will be up there playing against these top sides consistently.
And realistically, not only that, who knows, in the year 2030, I don't think it's reckless to say that the USL will be the dominant soccer league in America, especially with the promotion relegation system. I think that's where you'll see potentially U.S. Soccer sending their guys, because the competition is going to be, you're playing for something, not just, not just the money on the MLS side. So kind of once the Messi wave wears off, maybe it's the USL that comes center stage. We've talked about the accessibility of it. Like, I was watching that Portland game prior to the FC Naples game. I was like, oh, it's 2-1 or whatever. Then it was 2-2, and then I flipped it on. Now it's 4-2. I'm like, this is a crazy finish. The league, both leagues are just so much fun to watch, and the soccer's good. It's obviously not world class like some of the European leagues, but great opportunity for these guys, and great opportunity for American soccer fans to be watching primetime games, especially in the summer. I mean, they're going to be competing with nothing. Baseball. Right. That's what you're competing. Yeah. You compete with baseball in the Club World Cup. So hopefully we'll get some more eyes this summer, and people will see how fun these league games are.
Yeah, and we've seen more and more expansion into League One, and then it even seems like some cities with MLS teams, like Orlando, I think it was announced, or Central Florida, getting a USL League One team. And my buddy that's is quote unquote an ultra, he's in one of those ultra groups for Orlando City, is like, yeah, I can't wait for these games. Like, it's going to be, I love the idea of having a smaller stadium, like a true community feeling team playing against other true community teams, instead of this monstrosity that is MLS, that's clearly just in it for the money and, hand picking these markets. To have a team, like, go to cities like Chattanooga and Knoxville and Spokane, like these cities that are so passionate and can still get, you look at Madison, that's getting 5,000 plus people a game in a smaller market with a great team. It's just, they've built a great atmosphere. Like, this is what I think USL is going all in on, and I'm personally really excited for it.
Yeah, and it's awesome because the only team with a professional sports team in that city is Charlotte. Charlotte is the only team that has to share allegiance with non-soccer professional sports teams, at least in League One. So you're right. And I'd be curious to see if attendance is a factor in that promotion relegation jump system, whatever it's going to look like. If Naples is consistently drawing 35 to 4,500 people a night, it's hard to say that they shouldn't be on the top flight competing.
Right. It's super exciting. And shout out to League One updater Alex Ashton, who, if you've not gotten a chance to read any of his stuff, it's on Substack on Beyond the 90. He's consistently putting out some great updates on where all of these expansions are coming or possibly going in USL League One.
Is that for the year 28, or is it going to be after? Like, do we have 2 more seasons after this, or 3 more?
Great question. I don't think anyone knows.
Okay.
And I think 2028 still might even be a rumor. Not sure on that.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of financial logistics with it, and I think they're just trying to stay, the league trying to put themselves in relevancy, and now's the time to do it. We've talked about it a bunch. I don't know if we've done it on the podcast, but like I really do think that if after 2026 America hasn't embraced soccer, it's going to be really, really hard down the road because you're going to have the best clubs in the world with the best players in the world coming here this summer. It's going to be awesome. Landon Donovan with the hot take that the MLS is going to do really well because of the weather and the travel, and I thought that was an interesting take. And then you got the World Cup in 26, so it's going to be hard to say soccer is going to take off if after this wave of fandom doesn't hit.
Yeah, I'm hoping it kind of gets out of this niche rut that it's in right now across the country and kind of continues to grow. I know talking to people that I know who have kind of gotten more into USL as a whole through FC Naples, but then also like it's hitting people. Hey, did you know the World Cup's coming here in 2026? Like, yeah, have you met me? Do you know that I like soccer? Like, everyone knows the World Cup's coming here in 2026, and people are just finding out about it. So it's going to be interesting to see, especially if the U.S. men's team can put together a bit of a run, kind of get the country behind them, like I felt like we had when we beat England in South Africa back in 2010. But I think they're going to have to kind of do their part, which will be interesting.
Yeah, and on top of it, you're telling me that there aren't... So the biggest pushback I hear from European soccer fans about American soccer is they hate the MLS. They hate the product. They hate what it stands for. It's not traditional football. And, you know, that's totally fair. Same way that Americans don't like Canadian football. Like, it's not real football. So you're telling me there aren't thousands, if not millions, of European soccer fans that aren't going to get jazzed at the idea that they can watch start drinking at 7 a.m. at the pub and go all the way till midnight, drinking and watching soccer. It's going to take off. You get a little afternoon break and then 7 p.m. kickoffs right back in the pub.
Right, like this is great. Who's not gonna love this? I don't know. It did have us. We were kind of talking about this before we started recording. Because I may or may not be at the Greenville match this weekend. Still trying to finalize plans and convince my family on our annual family vacation that we should drive about an hour to go see Greenville triumph against FC Naples. So stay tuned for that. Might be providing some live updates from the match. First ever out-of-state away day here for Forzanaples. But what are your thoughts as far as acceptable soccer food to eat at a soccer game?
So you're asking me this like I am a lifelong soccer fan.
Well, as an American, as a newly minted American soccer fan.
Yeah, I think there needs to be something special because a hot dog doesn't cut it. Like, I don't want to go to a soccer game, eat a hot dog. So I don't know. I've only eaten at the Naples game once. I did the little smoked barbecue or whatever they had there, and it was very good. I forget who catered it, but it was very good. I don't know, and the reason I posed that question to you, I did, to be fair to the listeners, I asked the question that Ian was supposed to answer, not flip flop and put this on me.
I spun it right back around.
Because popcorn. Is popcorn a soccer food?
So here's the thing. I don't think we can compare this to like European soccer food. Because one, I think European soccer food is different depending on whatever country you're in. Like in England, it's meat pies and, sausage rolls, which is just a sausage wrapped in puff pastry, and it's hot and it's delicious.
That sounds really good. That sounds like a better version of a hot dog.
It is a much better version of the hot dog. I can attest. Or it's, but then they also still have burgers and bacon buddies, which is just it's bacon on a piece of white Wonder bread, or the equivalent of white Wonder bread in England. And then, pints of beer and maybe even a cup of tea at halftime if it's so cold. But also they're playing on cold, rainy days, where we're here in Florida at least playing in 90-degree weather and fighting thunderstorms and 100% humidity. So I don't really think there's a one-for-one comparison. Even across the country, like what you might eat and see it. Like, I kind of like the idea of having a regionalization and not just like a general hot dog, like at a baseball game. Kind of having a regional identity to it, like having Cracklin' Jack's barbecue at FC Naples. Now that's proper.
Yeah, right. And really, the only game I find myself eating food at is baseball. I don't know how often you've been going to games. I think we went to a hockey game this year together. But even growing up, like at Blades games, like we weren't eating at the game. The only sport that I eat at is a hot dog. I have to get a hot dog at a baseball game.
Yeah,
That
you
is
have to.
Like that is required. If you go to a baseball game and you don't eat a hot dog, it's un-American. I think I like the idea of ice cream at FC Naples. I would like to see them have a little ice cream stand.
Ooh, now I think you're talking.
I could go for like a soft serve ice cream cone, at halftime. Let me get an ice cream cone. Let me have a couple beers in the first half, eat an ice cream cone, and then get the last beer they serve before last call.
Yeah, I like that idea.
What about an ice cream beer combo? Do you think anybody's tried that?
I don't know if that sounds amazing or disgusting. Like an ice cream, like instead of a root beer float, like a regular beer float.
Yep.
I don't know if that sounds delicious right now, or
I am hoping that one of our listeners is going to try this at home and will get in touch with the show and will be the guinea pig to let us know if they want us to start pushing the FC Naples leadership team to have a beer float stand.
Yeah. I mean, even if they don't have a beer float stand, what's to stop you from, creating your version of sloppy steaks, and you get a beer, you get some ice cream, you pour the beer into the ice cream, and you're good to go.
I feel like you'd pour the ice cream into the beer. No?
If I'm picturing soft serve, like it's got to be hard to get it out of the cup, right?
Okay, so you're eating ice cream out of a cup. You're not eating soft serve out of a cone?
Well, how are you going to get the cone into the beer? Like, are you going to pour the beer on top of the cone?
This is spun off the rails.
This is gone. Yeah, this has gone south real quick. I think ice cream would be good at FC Naples.
That's where we should have stopped.
Along with cold beer.
We should have stopped with, yes, the idea went one step too far. Doesn't mean that somebody at home can't try this weekend and let us know.
Yeah. Please report back. I mean, maybe in Greenville this is what they eat. Who's to know? Greenville seems like a fun town. Maybe they're doing beer and ice cream.
Yeah, I think overall, I think you just stick with the standards. I really don't think many people are eating. And with it being, and again, that's kind of the beauty of the soccer, the way the sport's designed is it's a set time. So you can go, and the games start at 7. You can go get dinner at 5:30. You get to the game at 6:15, 6:30. Enjoy the game, and then, if you want to go grab something quick after or go do some bar food after, that's an option.
Yeah, and it's also not like baseball where there's 2.5 minutes in between innings.
Yep.
8 times. You're kind of, once the game starts, it's going to be 45 minutes plus however much at a time. In this case, when there's 6 substitutes and 3 goals, they're only going to add 3 minutes because that's reasonable. We're not still upset about that. Get to the game early. You eat beforehand. Get good food beforehand from one of the delicious food trucks that are there. Like we had pizza a couple weeks ago. Oh, so good.
Maybe it is pizza. Maybe that is the answer because I'm always at the game and I smell it. You can get a whole pizza there, I believe, and you kind of set it down and you can eat it throughout the game. Pizza might be the answer because you're not quite like hungry for a whole meal at the moment, but something to graze on throughout the game. And as an American, pizza sounds like a good snack food.
Yeah, and plus, where pizza comes from? Italy. You know who's pretty good at soccer? Italy. So it makes sense. And I'd much rather eat a pizza, I think, than a warm meat pie. Not that you could get a warm meat pie at a FC Naples game, unfortunately, but maybe we'll get sausage rolls added to the menu. Sausage rolls do actually sound really good.
I think that if the owners are listening to this or anybody in the marketing team, I think you know what you need to do for that June 14th game. Find somebody that knows how to make that. Yes, I'm sure they're easy to come by here in Southwest Florida. Well, if you go to the game, Hopefully you do. You'll have to report back. Get an Instagram live going or something. Some stories for the Instagram. What are you going scoreline here?
I think I like us to respond and go 2-0 Naples in Greenville.
You took the chalk answer. I feel like that's a good safe pick. I'm gonna go with the both teams to score and over 2.5. 2-1 Naples.
2-1 Naples. I like it. I like it a lot. Continuing to build on our positive goal difference, keep sending their goal difference negative. Just get a big away win. Looking forward to it, and I'm hoping that I can convince my family that we should drive to Greenville, which I think is actually being played in Clemson, so I have to look up how far away Clemson is from where we're staying in North Carolina, but hopefully it's close enough and I can still convince them. But we'll report back. I'm sure it won't be as good as the Paradise Coast Sports Complex, but should still be a lot of fun.
Yeah, and the turf there, right? So we got the familiar ground. We know what type of surface you're going to play on, regardless of the weather. I assume it's turf. I think most college is now our turf. So that's my assumption, but I think the turf field plays to our advantage.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll have to do some more research on what their field surface is, because I just did learn that they're actually playing at Clemson live. Everyone got to hear my reaction to that live as we recorded, because we're always very prepared, on this podcast as professional journalists, which we are not. Well, Paul, anything else to add before we go?
Turn the page. It's a new month. New opportunities are right around the corner. And when we finish top of the table, this sloppy month will be just a distant memory.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree with you more there. Let's get our bad month out of the way, and hopefully it's smooth sailing. It's a long season, so hopefully we can keep picking up points like we've been saying on this show all year. Keep picking up points and sail into the playoffs and sail into a championship.
Five more months. We still got 5 more months. We got July, August, September, October, June, July, August, September, October. I mean, we still got 5 more months of regular season. So
yeah,
everybody's gonna have a bad month, and luckily we got ours out early.
Yeah, title's not won in May, thankfully, like it is in Europe. So a lot of soccer still to play. Got to give a shout out to our two. We had 2 players get called up for World Cup qualifying in this upcoming international break. Joel Serrano, goalkeeper, and Rodolfo Zulia, both getting called up to the Puerto Rican national team. So be on the lookout for them. Playing for their country, Puerto Rico, got to be a huge honor. Just super exciting that we have 2 international footballers.
We can discuss that statement. Their country of Puerto Rico, which is part of America.
They've got big games coming up June 6th against Suriname and June 10th against St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So be on the lookout for them.
Both of those sound like teams that can upset the U.S. In World Cup qualifying if they had to play.
I would not put it past any of them. All of CONCACAF seems like they can beat anyone within CONCACAF on any given day, which I think is a great thing, but also an awful thing as a U.S. soccer fan. Well, we will be back next week to recap Greenville. And again, let us know if you like these recaps and also match previews all in one, or if you'd rather us put out 2 episodes. Let us know. Get in touch with the show, as always, on Instagram, Forzanaplespod. We love hearing from you, and we're looking forward to taking down Greenville, and we will see you soon. Up the Naples.